Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery.
All right, so you ready to tackle Aristotle's Poetics?
I am.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Because this is not, your typical light beach read.
Right.
This is like the OG lecture notes on storytelling.
That's a good way to put it.
But don't worry, we are here to decode it all.
Break it down.
Yeah, make it
Already?
make it a little easier to digest.
You know, it's incredible that even after all this time,
Yeah.
his ideas about what hooks an audience
Right.
are still totally relevant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he tapped into something fundamental about how our brains work.
Yeah, he starts by tackling why we even crave stories in the first place. And his answer, it's human nature. We learn by imitating.
Yes.
And what better way than through stories?
He calls it mimesis,
Mimesis.
art imitating life.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it.
Okay.
We can enjoy a painting of creepy crawly, even though we'd probably shriek if we saw one in real life.
Right, right.
It's about
Yeah.
experiencing things safely, making sense of the world around us.
So it's not just about escapism.
Right.
It's about understanding, even if what we're understanding is a little unsettling,
Right.
a little creepy.
It's that drive
Exactly, yeah.
to uncover the why behind things that keeps us hooked.
Okay, so we're hardwired for stories.
Okay.
But what makes a story good?
Right.
Aristotle has some strong opinions on that,
Yes, he does.
starting with the idea that plot is king.
It's the foundation.
Characters are important, sure.
For sure.
They serve the plot,
They serve the plot,
not the other way around.
not the other way around.
It's a hierarchical view,
Okay.
with the plot at the very top.
Interesting.
Kind of like building a house.
Right.
You need a solid structure
Mm-hmm.
before you start decorating.
Yeah, that's actually really encouraging for any aspiring writers out there
Yeah, I mean,
who hasn't struggled with plot.
right.
Even Aristotle noticed that new writers often nail dialogue and characters first.
He compares a well-structured plot to a painting.
Oh, okay.
Random beautiful colors are nice,
Sure.
but a simple outline of an object is more satisfying.
Interesting.
It's about the underlying framework
Yeah.
that gives the story its shape.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does this plot first approach work in practice? I know Aristotle focuses heavily on tragedy in Poetics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He defines tragedy as the imitation of a serious and complete action,
Okay.
leading to a purging of emotions,
Whoa.
something he calls catharsis.
Catharsis.
It's like a roller coaster ride
Oh, wow.
for your feelings,
Mhm.
leaving you cleansed
Mm.
and maybe a little drained.
Okay, so before we get lost in a deep dive on catharsis itself,
Right.
let's break down
Okay.
these serious and complete actions.
Mm-hmm.
What are the key elements of a good tragedy?
He outlines six.
Plot, character, speech, reasoning, spectacle, and music.
Okay.
But get this.
Right.
He actually ranks spectacle,
Mm-hmm.
the visual element,
Okay.
as the least important.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I'd argue that amazing visuals can totally make or break a story.
Yeah, I see.
Think about the difference between
right?
a low-budget film
Yeah.
and a blockbuster with incredible special effects.
Remember, Aristotle was writing at a time when theater was the main form of storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe in his view,
Right.
even amazing spectacle
Yeah.
couldn't make up for a weak plot.
That's a really interesting perspective,
Yeah.
especially in our age of CGI overload.
Right, we're bombarded with it.
So
Yeah.
if spectacle isn't the key,
Okay.
what is Aristotle's recipe for a gripping plot?
He emphasizes a single unified action,
Okay.
not just a chronicle of everything a character does.
So it has to be really important
All
to
right.
the main plot.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Think Homer's Odyssey.
Odyssey.
It doesn't cover Odysseus' entire life.
Right.
Just the events essential to his journey home.
It's about being selective.
Right.
Choosing those moments that drive the story forward
Yeah.
and connect to the main theme.
Of course.
Yeah.
A good story needs beginning,
You're right.
a middle, and an end.
Beginning, middle,
Yes.
right.
Each flowing logically from the last.
Like a chain reaction.
Yes.
Each event setting the stage for the next.
Exactly.
Now, to spice things up,
Right.
Aristotle introduces two powerful plot devices.
Mhm.
Reversal and recognition.
Reversal and recognition.
Reversal and recognition.
Reversal is a sudden change in fortune.
Yes.
Like Oedipus,
Like Oedipus.
finding out he's married his mother.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah, he's in for a bad time.
And recognition is a shift from ignorance to knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Ideally,
right.
combined with reversal for maximum impact.
For maximum impact.
It's that aha moment.
Yes.
When everything clicks into place. He actually provides a whole list of different types of recognition.
Really?
Some more effective than others. It just shows how meticulous he was in analyzing the craft of storytelling.
So, aspiring writers...
Take note.
Yeah, take note. Yeah. This is like a masterclass in plotting from the OG master himself.
Yeah, you can't get better than this.
But it's not just about the overall structure. Right. Aristotle also gets into the nitty-gritty details of how to make a plot come alive.
Yeah.
He actually encourages writers to visualize the story in their minds.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Close your eyes and imagine the action unfolding.
Like you're there.
Almost like directing a movie in your head.
Oh, that's a cool way to think about it.
It helps you spot inconsistencies.
Right.
And ensure that the actions you choose truly serve the story.
It's like a mental quality control check. For your narrative.
Okay.
Now, let's move from plot to characters.
All right.
Aristotle has some pretty specific ideas about what makes a character compelling.
Yeah.
He outlines 4 key qualities.
The first is goodness.
Goodness.
Now, this doesn't mean every character has to be a saint.
Right.
Even flawed characters need some redeeming quality to make them relatable.
Like a villain.
Like a villain.
With a tragic backstory.
Exactly. No. The second quality is appropriateness.
Appropriateness.
The character's actions and traits should fit their role.
Right.
And the context of the story.
So, like, a knight wouldn't suddenly start speaking in slang.
Right.
Unless there's, like, a really good reason for it.
Within the story.
Within the story, okay.
Then there's relatability.
Relatability, okay.
And this doesn't mean that they're perfect.
Right.
But we can understand their motivations, even if we don't agree with their choices.
It's about connecting with them on a human level.
Right.
Seeing the world through their eyes.
And finally, there's consistency.
Consistency,
even if a character is inconsistent.
Okay.
Their inconsistencies should make sense within their established personality.
So it's not about being predictable.
No, but believable.
Believable. Their flaws and contradictions should feel authentic.
Right.
And to really illustrate these points, Aristotle provides examples of what not to do.
Oh, really?
Calling out bad characterization from other places.
That's so helpful.
Like he's giving a master class in literary analysis.
So helpful.
Showing us how to learn from both the successes and the failures of others.
Now, there's one plot device.
Okay.
Aristotle absolutely hated.
He did.
The deus ex machina.
Deus ex machina.
No magical solutions from out of nowhere.
He really hated it. He really hated it.
The term itself comes from ancient theater, where they literally lower a god onto the stage with a crane to resolve the plot.
Really?
Aristotle saw it as lazy storytelling, a cop-out that undermines the integrity of the narrative.
I guess it's like having your cake and eating it, too.
Exactly.
We want the drama and the suspense, but you don't want to do the hard work.
You don't want to do the hard work?
Of finding a believable solution.
Aristotle believed that plot problems should be resolved organically, arising from the actions and choices of the characters themselves.
Yeah, no convenient meteor strikes to save the day.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
Tragedy, plot, characters, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, I'm curious about epic poetry.
Epic poetry.
Does Aristotle see it as a totally different animal than tragedy?
He sees them as sharing core elements.
Okay.
But epic poetry has more room for sprawling storylines.
Right.
And what he calls the marvelous.
The marvelous. Okay.
Epic battle scenes, like Achilles chasing Hector around Troy.
Right.
That would look pretty silly on stage.
Yeah, that would not work.
But it works in narrative form.
It's like the difference between a stage play and like a big budget action movie.
Exactly. Right. But even with this expanded scope, Aristotle still stresses the importance of a clear, unified plot in epic poetry.
Okay.
He uses Homer as a prime example.
And of course, like the Goat.
Exactly.
According to Aristotle.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knew how to weave those believable impossibilities.
Right.
Captivating readers with marvels.
Yeah.
While maintaining a sense of wonder.
It's like finding that sweet spot.
It is.
Between realism and fantasy. That keeps us hooked. Yeah.
Like in Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
We accept magic as part of that world.
Right.
Even if it's impossible.
Even if it's impossible.
In our own.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
But while we're on the topic of world building,
Mm-hmm.
let's not forget about language.
Right.
Does Aristotle have any tips for making our writings sing?
Welcome back.
We're back.
We're knee-deep in Aristotle's Poetics.
Yes, we are.
Exploring his insights on plot, character, and all things storytelling.
All things storytelling.
Before the break, we were talking about how Aristotle championed believable impossibilities.
Right.
Like magic in Harry Potter.
Yeah, good example.
It got me thinking.
Okay.
Where do you draw the line?
Right.
How much is too much?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Aristotle actually prefers the impossible but believable over the possible, but unconvincing.
Interesting.
He argues that these marvels
can evoke a sense of wonder and awe, but you have to use them strategically.
So it's about finding that balance between pushing the boundaries of reality and maintaining a sense of believability within the world you've created.
Don't overload the story.
Right.
With too many unbelievable elements.
Okay.
You risk straining the audience's suspension of disbelief.
It's like
seasoning a dish.
Okay.
A little spice can enhance the flavor.
Right.
But too much can overpower it.
Okay.
So less is more.
Less is more.
When it comes to marvels.
Okay, so less is more when it comes to marvels. Yeah. But how do we make those believable impossibilities truly sing?
He suggests weaving them organically into the narrative. Not just throwing them in for shank value.
Okay.
Think about how the magic in Harry Potter is deeply intertwined with the characters and the plot.
Right. It's not just random spectacle.
It feels like a natural part of that world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just a gimmick.
Right.
Right.
Let's switch gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about language.
Language.
I know Aristotle emphasized clarity.
He did.
But surely there's more to it than just being easy to understand.
He definitely goes deeper than that.
Okay.
While he advocates for using everyday speech, he warns against being too bland.
Right.
He suggests incorporating elevated language, metaphors, foreign words, even a touch of poetry to make the writing richer and more engaging.
So it's about finding that sweet spot.
It is.
Between accessibility and artistry.
Yes.
Not dumbing things down.
Right.
But also not getting so flowery that the meaning gets lost.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Aristotle stresses that language should always serve the story.
Okay.
It's about choosing the right words to evoke the desired emotions.
And enhance the overall impact.
It's like a composer.
Yes.
Choosing the right instruments and notes to create a specific mood or feeling.
Speaking of evoking emotions, I remember Aristotle being big on this idea of catharsis in tragedy.
Catharsis.
You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, you did.
About purging emotions.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a bit more?
Yeah, unpack it for us.
Catharsis is like an emotional release valve.
Okay, interesting.
Through experiencing strong emotions, like pity and fear, in a safe fictional setting.
Right.
We actually cleanse ourselves of those feelings.
So it's not just about wallowing in sadness or being terrified.
No.
It's about experiencing those emotions in a way that allows us to process and release them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about how you feel after watching a truly moving film or play.
Okay.
You might cry your eyes out during the sad parts.
Right.
But afterwards, you often feel a sense of relief.
I have definitely felt that.
Even exhilaration.
It's like you've gone through an emotional workout.
It is.
And come out the other side.
Yeah.
Feeling stronger.
Aristotle believed that catharsis was one of the key functions of tragedy.
Interesting.
It's not just about entertainment.
Right.
It's about providing a space for us to confront difficult emotions and emerge transformed.
Okay. Now, back to the nitty-gritty. Of crafting a compelling story.
Yeah.
I know Aristotle had some specific advice.
He did.
For constructing a plot.
He suggested starting with a simple storyline.
Okay.
Almost like a blueprint. He even provides an example.
Okay.
Using a classic tragic setup.
Okay.
A young woman is about to be sacrificed.
All right.
She mysteriously disappears.
Oh, wow.
She's made a priestess in a foreign land.
Okay.
Where she must sacrifice strangers.
Oh, wow.
Her brother arrives, guided by an oracle.
Right.
He's captured and about to be sacrificed.
Oh, no.
And bam, recognition.
Yeah.
The priestess realizes
yeah.
it's her brother.
Whoa, talk about a dramatic reveal.
Yeah.
It's like all the elements of a gripping thriller are already baked into that basic framework.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect recipe for reversal and recognition, full of potential for suspense and emotional payoff.
Yeah.
But Aristotle reminds us that this is just the skeleton of the story.
Yeah.
You need to flesh it out with episodes.
Right.
The meat on the bones.
The meat on the bones.
But these episodes can't just be random events.
Right.
They need to connect to the main plot.
To the main plot, okay.
He's very clear about that.
Yeah.
He uses the example of Orestes. Whose madness leads to his capture and whose purification ritual leads to his salvation.
Okay.
Each episode is a piece of the puzzle.
Right. Contributing to the larger picture.
It's like each event is a domino knocking into the next and propelling the story forward.
Now, Aristotle acknowledges that epic poetry has more room for sprawling storylines than tragedy.
Okay.
But he still cautions against losing sight of unity.
Right.
You don't want to end up with the narrative that feels like a jumbled mess.
Right.
No matter how epic the scope.
Yeah, no matter how big and exciting you want it to be.
He points to Homer's Iliad as an example.
Iliad, okay.
Even though it's a massive work,
right,
it focuses on a specific portion of the Trojan War, not the whole thing.
So it's about being selective.
Yes.
Even within a sprawling epic.
Choosing the events that serve the central narrative and contribute to its overall impact.
Okay, so we've got plot structure down.
Plot structure. But even with the best laid plans, writers inevitably face criticism, any wisdom from Aristotle on how to handle.
Oh, he offers some incredibly valuable advice. Always consider the context. What's the author's intention?
Right.
What effect does the element have on the overall work?
Right.
What are the prevailing beliefs of the time?
So it's not just about taking criticism at face value.
It's about understanding the bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
It's about recognizing that different genres have different conventions. What might be considered inappropriate in one genre could be perfectly acceptable in another.
It's all about perspective.
It is.
Now, I know Aristotle can get pretty technical, diving into the nitty-gritty of language.
He does.
I have to admit. Yeah. That's not always the most thrilling part of Poetics.
I hear you. Yeah. But his meticulous attention to detail shows just how deeply he thought about the craft of writing.
Yeah.
He breaks down language into its tiniest parts.
Wow.
Talking about letters, syllables, connectives, even statements.
It's like getting a crash course in ancient Greek linguistics.
It is.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway for modern writers is that clarity is paramount.
Clarity.
Aristotle believed that language should be a tool for clear communication, not obfuscation.
So while he appreciated the beauty of elevated language, he ultimately prioritized clarity and accessibility.
Exactly.
Okay.
He wanted writers to connect with their audience, not alienate them with overly complex or obscure language.
So it's about finding that balance.
Finding that balance.
Using language to enhance the story without sacrificing clarity.
But clarity doesn't have to mean boring.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Aristotle recognized the power of vivid imagery and evocative language.
Right.
He believed in using metaphors, foreign words, and even a touch of poetry to add flavor and depth to the writing.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between being clear and being captivating.
Right.
Not an easy task.
Not an easy task.
But definitely a worthy goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question.
A question.
If Aristotle prioritized plot above all else, how much agency do characters truly have in shaping their own destinies?
Ooh.
That's a great question to ponder.
It is a good one.
Do characters drive the plot?
Yeah.
Or are they just pawns
Right.
in a larger game?
In a larger game.
We'll delve into that and more in the final part of our exploration of poetics.
Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned. Welcome back.
We're back for the final part.
To the final part.
Of our deep dive.
Into
Aristotle's Poetics.
It's amazing how much ground we've covered.
I know, right?
Plot, character, language.
Aristotle was a busy guy.
He was a busy guy.
He was a master of observation and analysis.
Well, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that's been bugging me.
Okay, what's that?
Aristotle spends a lot of time talking about tragedy.
Right.
And epic poetry. But what about comedy?
That's actually one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the Poetics.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
The surviving text ends abruptly.
Oh.
Right as Aristotle is about to launch into a discussion of comedy.
So we're left hanging.
We're left hanging.
With all these burning questions about the art of making people laugh.
Exactly.
It's like he was about to reveal the secret formula for comedic genius.
Right.
And then, poof, the manuscript cuts off.
Maybe it's a lost scroll.
Oh, could you imagine?
Waiting to be discovered in some dusty archive.
That would be amazing.
One can dream.
Right.
But seriously.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about what Aristotle might have said.
Yeah, what do you think he would have said?
I mean...
About comedy.
He clearly saw storytelling as more than just entertainment.
Right.
He believed it had a higher purpose.
Okay.
He believed that it could teach us about ourselves and the world around us.
He even argues that poetry...
Yes.
And he uses that term broadly.
Very broadly.
To encompass all kinds of storytelling.
Yes.
Is more philosophical.
More philosophical.
And serious than history.
Which seems a little counterintuitive.
Right.
At first.
Totally.
Why would he say that?
Why would he say that?
Because history deals with specific events that have already happened.
Right.
While poetry, through its imitation of actions, explores universal truths and possibilities.
So it's about the what could be.
Exactly.
Not just the what was.
Poetry allows us
to
step outside our own limited experience and engage with a wider range of human emotions and situations.
It's like a flight simulator for the soul.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really captures the essence of what Aristotle is saying.
Through experiencing these stories,
we
develop empathy and understanding. We learn about different perspectives and possibilities.
And through this process of imitation and catharsis, we gain insight into ourselves and the human condition.
It's like holding up a mirror to humanity.
It is.
Reflecting both its beauty and its flaws.
I think that's a perfect way to sum up Aristotle's view of storytelling.
Yeah. While we may never know his exact thoughts on comedy, we can apply his insights to any genre.
Absolutely.
Any story we encounter.
Whether it's a tragedy, an epic poem, a romantic comedy, or even a stand-up routine.
Okay.
The principles of good storytelling remain the same.
We should be looking for those reversals and recognitions, those believable impossibilities. Those moments of catharsis that make a story truly unforgettable.
And most importantly, we should be asking ourselves, what can I learn from this story? What does it tell me about myself and the world around me?
Those are the questions that keep us coming back to stories time and time again, seeking meaning and connection.
It's been a journey.
It has been a journey.
Exploring poetics with you.
I agree.
And on that note,
I
think we've reached the end
we have
of our deep dive.
Until next time.
Happy reading.
Happy reading.
And happy storytelling, everyone. See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.